Good morning. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. I'm glad that my dear wife can be with me this morning. And we're going to make a green smoothie. And before we make the green smoothie, I would like to ask the question, why are we making a green smoothie? Is it because it's our favorite thing for our taste buds?
No, but once you start eating it, it does become something that you like. So the main two reasons are for flaxseed and for the greens. So these are two very important things that your body needs, and this is the easiest way and fastest way to get it into your body. So it's really hard to eat this many flax seeds, but when you have it in a smoothie, then it's really easy.
So what does flaxseed do for you again?
Flaxseed has all the essential amino acids that your body needs. So if you're not eating meat, you need to have flaxseed, because eating meat provides amino acids, but it's a very toxic way to get your amino acids. And so flax seeds, if you're a vegetarian or vegan or plant-based or whatever you want to call it, this is what you need in your diet.
One of the reasons why we choose not to eat the carcasses of dead animals is because we can get our nutrition in plants. And so if we tried to chew those flax seeds up, we wouldn't be able to chew them. It wouldn't be very feasible, and then they wouldn't be digested. And so we can, think about this lemon is alive. These strawberries that Brother Bill picked yesterday, they're alive, fresh out of the garden. And you think of an animal and it's dead, and you may eat it and it may have been dead for 6 months or something as a sausage or in a freezer, or and we eat frozen vegetables that we cook from time to time, but when you can eat it fresh and it's alive, it's better. And dead animal flesh contains substances that are cancer causing. So
the reason that I don't eat it is because I was raised eating meat and you were not raised eating meat. But when I was 8 years old, my mom got a job as a nurse, and she had us do chores, and she would leave a list for us to do, and there were myself, my two sisters, and my stepsister, and we were set up into teams. And so one team would cook the supper and the other team would do the dishes and clean up. And so my mom would write out detailed instructions of everything that needed to be done to make supper, because I was 8 and my sister was 11 or 12. And one of the things I had to do was defrost the meat in the microwave. And I got the meat, I put it in the microwave, did everything I was supposed to do. And then when I opened the microwave, there was a pool of blood. And I'm like, what? I never put two and two together. It has blood of a dead animal in it. And so for me, that was just shocking. And so I told my mom, I do not want to eat this. This is disgusting. This is a dead animal. This animal had to suffer for me, and I don't want that. And so she started listening to me, which I really appreciated. And so she would make chili for me without meat and just with beans. And she would make hamburger helper without the hamburger. And she would do things to listen to me. And so then when I moved out, I was like, I'm not cooking this myself. And then the other thing is when they take these animals to the slaughterhouses, they know that something's going on, and it puts all these chemicals into the meat.
They have adrenaline because they know they're going to be killed. They smell the blood of other animals, and so they have this fear and this adrenaline, and then you get those hormones. And so if you are going to eat meat, it's really important to have grass-fed or primarily grass-fed, and then they can be killed in a way where it's humane. It's not on a large scale, and so they're not going to be all full of fear. And then you mentioned the blood. Acts 15 makes it very clear for New Testament believers, one of the things that we are to abstain from is blood. And so if you're eating at McDonald's or you're eating just meat on the market, they're not going to drain all the blood out of there. because they want to make money. And if they take the time to drain it out, time is money, so they make less money. If they drain it all out, they're selling it by the pound, and so they're just not going to get all the blood out because they're going to make less money that way. You mentioned earlier about amino acids. What specifically do those amino acids do for us? And those are found in the flaxseed and the nuts.
I don't know exactly, but I know that it's just essential what our body needs. So we can't really function optimally without them.
Yes. So one of the things that amino acids do for us is it's like brain food. And so in order for us to learn God's Word, the blueprint, the Bible, we need to have a really clear mind. And so if you're not eating enough nuts or enough healthy fats in your diet, you won't have the brain food that you need, and it may affect your brain's ability to absorb the information that you need to have.
Okay, I want to go back to what you said about the meat. If you're going to eat meat, it needs to be kosher. That's where they actually make sure the blood is out of it. And if you're sick, don't eat meat at all. If you have any health condition, if you want to get better, you need to drop meat.
So there may be people that are butchering the animals in a way where they're draining all the blood out, and it may not have the stamp kosher on it. But if it doesn't have the kosher on it, then you need to ask questions, and you need to make sure that the meat that you're eating is biblically acceptable. And there is a list of, if it has a split hoof, if it chews the cud, then it's clean, or if it's a fish, if it has fins and scales. And we've covered this before, but we have new viewers. So these are Old Testament laws regarding diet. And so most preachers will say, oh, that's just Old Covenant, that's been done away with. Well, there are laws regarding when you have a bowel movement, you need to dig a hole, you need to bury it. And it's just simply a statute in the Old Testament that was intended for God's people to be healthy. And so we would maintain that this distinction between clean and unclean meats is just as important for us to follow today as it was for the children of Israel back in those days.
So I don't think that I would trust it if it didn't say kosher, even if I asked questions, because I think kosher, they actually like press the blood out or something.
They just let it hang long. They let it hang a long time, a certain amount of time, and just until every last drop. The main artery at the neck is completely severed, and they let it hang until every last drop has come out. But if it has the word kosher, then it's not going to have some. If it's a kosher meat, it's not going to have any pork mixed in. And so some of the sausage that you get, it might have some pork in it, and it might have some beef in it, and it might be a mix of different stuff. But if you are going to eat meat, make sure that you're following the biblical standards for that. And our Heavenly Father is not saying, do that and do that and don't do that. And He's not an arbitrary tyrant who wants to control every aspect of our diet. He is a Father that's saying, my daughter, my son, here's my recommendation for you. These are some rules that will promote your health. Please follow these rules. And then if you disregard the rules, then you will probably have some consequences, health consequences that you don't like, that are unhealthy.
So don't be offended that I said to drop meat. There's a doctor called Dr. Brooke Goldner, and
on YouTube you can search.
You can look up Smoothie Shred on Facebook, and you can look up Dr. Brooke Goldner. She has videos on YouTube, and she also wrote books, and she is a doctor that had lupus, and she met a bodybuilder, and they decided that they wanted to get married, and she's like, well, I have lupus, I'm not going to live long, it's not going to be a good life for you. And he said, I'd rather spend a short time with you than a lifetime with anyone else. And so they decided to get married, and then she was thinking of her wedding, and she wanted to get in shape. And he's a bodybuilder, and he like trained people to be on MTV and all this kind of stuff. So she's like, I want you to train me. And so he put her on green smoothies and meat. Well, she didn't eat meat, so she just did the smoothies and she did tofu, and her lupus went away. So he didn't have those results with anyone else that was doing the green smoothies and eating meat. And so they were like, what is the difference here? The difference is she was not eating meat.
Yeah, and there's meat and there's cheese, and if you're going to if one of them is more important for you to cut out of your diet, it is the cheese. So the cheese is very, very fermented, and it's very, very, very high fat. So you could have like a grass-fed beef or a grass-fed lamb or a grass-fed goat, and it would be lower in fat, and it wouldn't have that if it's processed correctly, it wouldn't have that fermentation going on.
Yeah, she did drop cheese as well.
Yes. We had a lady named Tracy that came and stayed with us, and she's like, wow, when I eat the way that you guys eat, like my belly feels better. And a guy called me up recently, and he's like, wow, I've been studying my Bible, and like this desire that I had for like women and alcohol has just left me. And he's like, I'm doing the diet thing that you guys are recommending, and I don't feel, my stomach doesn't feel heavy anymore. I just feel like more light. And he's like, I'm really, it's really working for me, you know. And so he's a man, you know, he does hard work and things, and so he's making the change, and he feels like he has more energy, he's able to do more. And you may want to edit this out, and so you can if you want to, but you were telling me that before you started eating lots of greens like kale and stinging nettles, that you were having really painful periods and long periods, lots of blood. And so since you've been eating more greens in your diet, stinging nettles, kale, dandelion greens, you don't like to eat them because they're bitter, but I put them in anyway. Since you made that change, as a general rule overall, what has been the difference for you? You had told me about that earlier, and
so my periods decreased to like normal periods where they were just like 2 or 3 days and really light. And I think there's also another aspect of that. So I started putting in the green smoothies and doing the flax, but there's also like an emotional component. And so I started healing emotionally. And so both of those working together is what helped me. And that's the same for you. If you're experiencing sickness, there is a health aspect and there's also an emotional aspect, and you need to be able to let go of anything that you hold so that you can experience healing and forgiveness and forgive other people and be in heaven.
So would you say at some point you were holding on to hatred towards someone or that had hurt you, and that letting go of that hatred has been helping with emotional healing?
I didn't necessarily feel like it was hate, but I felt like this shouldn't be done to me and this isn't right. So it was like an injustice. Yeah,
feeling like this is unjust and allowing your mind to focus on the injustice was hurting you emotionally. Okay. So you're learning that to like recognize that, okay, the Lord will bring justice in His time and His way, and you don't have to focus on this is unjust to me. You can focus more on I can wait on the Lord's timing to bring justice.
And because I choose not to hold on to that justice and that this isn't fair, then I'm more relaxed and I'm more peaceful. And just every day, whatever happens throughout the day, you have to give it to the Lord and say, I'm not going to hold on to this anymore. You deal with it.
Yes. You know, we're talking about food, but food is not the all-important thing. And if emotionally we are unhealthy, then we can eat the healthy food, and it's not really going to make a huge difference for us. And, you know, all of us, if we live on this planet long enough, will experience injustice. You know, and so sometimes we hear about Robert the rapist on the news, and we think, oh, you know, it's so good that now he's getting justice. And the Lord will use a corrupt justice system to bring Robert the rapist to justice. However, there's so many other people, so many other rapists out there, or so many other horrible people, and it seems like they never really receive justice. And we may feel angry and feel like it is so unjust. And let's remember that if they don't receive their justice here from a corrupt justice system here on earth, our Heavenly Father will bring justice. There is a judgment day coming. Everyone will have to answer for what they have done. No matter how secret they have been able to keep it, there will be justice.
Or also the Lord will work on their heart and make a miracle to where they're no longer that person anymore.
Yes. And I would encourage everyone who's watching this to read this passage in the Bible about Manasseh and how his mind was twisted and he was sacrificing his own children alive to these false gods. And these children were burning alive in the fire, and he thought that was what he needed to do in his worship. It was a satanic ritual service that he was doing. And so then when the Babylonians came, they chased him down, and he actually got caught in a thorn thicket, and then they put a hole in his nose and put a ring in there or a hook into his nose, and then they led him on a chain like a dog or like a cow. You've seen cows with a ring in their nose, and they led him to Babylon, and he repented there. And then the Lord brought him back. He had his throne again. He was restored, and he tried to lead the people away from false worship to the worship of the true and the living God. And so maybe you're watching this video and you may realize that I've done horrible things like Manasseh, and maybe you feel like there's no hope for you at all. Well, there is hope for you. And Manasseh did the crime. He did his time. He accepted his punishment. And then the Lord saw the change in heart that he had, and the Lord restored what he had lost. Or maybe you're someone who is the victim of satanic ritual abuse, and you have been horribly hurt by adults who should have protected you. Remember that there is restoration. Whatever has been broken in your life, if you will come to the Lord Jesus Christ with the pieces of your life, and your life is all in pieces, and if you'll come to him and you'll say, help me, Jesus, I'm broken, I need you, he will help you. He will restore you. And healing takes time. I accidentally cut all 3 fingers the other day with a sickle, and I wasn't being careful enough, and I was like, I was bleeding and it was hurting, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to work and get the work done. And I prayed, Lord, please give me a speedy healing. And I'm amazed at how fast they're healing. And I'm sure that eating these greens and getting the sunshine is a factor in that. But Jesus heals physical wounds. He heals emotional wounds. And it seems like the emotional wounds are the ones that are harder to heal. So we do encourage you to eat this plant-based type. We encourage you to imitate what we're doing that works for us and that will work for you. But if you forget everything about what we have said today, remember this one thing. Come to Jesus Christ for your emotional healing. Okay, so let's show you kind of what we're doing here. We've got some oranges in here.
Here, I'm gonna show them.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we've got some oranges in there, and it works nice if you have your citrus stuff at the bottom, your juicier things at the bottom. So that's what we did. And then we're going to peel this lemon. Some people if it's organic, they put the whole thing in, peel and all. You can. It tastes kind of stout.
So we have strawberries, and we didn't have fresh bananas, so we put in some dried bananas today.
Yes. So we've got dried bananas, and on the Titus Morris Extras channel, if you go back in the history of our list of videos, you can see how we dried them earlier, and you can give you an idea of how to do that. Now, you don't have to, if they're organic especially, you don't have to take these off. So this green part is extra nutrition. You might not like the taste of it with this, so you might want to take off the tops just based on the taste of it. But this is a Vitamix, and Vitamix did not pay me to promote their blender, but it is the king of all blenders. It's worth the money, and if you're if you're serious about getting healthy, regaining your health, or maintaining your health, a Vitamix is something that you need. If you're a busy person like me and you have a lot of work to do, if you needed to eat this salad and chew it up in a way that you could swallow it and digest it, it could take me like half an hour, because that's half for you, half for me. It could take me like half an hour to actually chew that up the way that it should be.
Plus trying to get this down.
Yeah, and so you just put it in here and you blend it, and then you're good. So
also, we got our Vitamix on eBay, and it was a blender that it was just the base, and so I got the base for just $125, and then I went on Amazon and I got this pitcher for $60.
So we have dates, and
so I guess that's $185.
Dates are very nutritious because they grow in the desert climates, and the roots go down deep to get the water, and deep roots bring up minerals that are deep in there, and so dates are very mineral rich, and so since we have some kind of tart strawberries in there,
and no bananas, no fresh bananas.
Yeah, no fresh bananas. It would actually have been better to soak these dried bananas overnight. We didn't do that, but
with the Vitamix, it should probably be okay, and they're kind of like bendable, pliable.
I need to get a little bit of water, so while I grab the water, will you put these in for me?
Are you sure we need it because we have all those oranges?
It would probably be blending better that way. Go ahead and put that in, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so this is 1 cup of flaxseed. Titus and I each try to do a half cup of flaxseed per person per day, and my recommendation is do not drop meat unless you're going to eat flaxseed. There's a trade-off here, and you have to be willing to eat the flaxseed in order to be healthy and be plant-based.
Now, we don't have to put water in here, but I do think it's a little bit easier for the to get everything blended up correctly.
We got the lemon too, Titus.
Yes, and it would have been better to put that lemon in at the bottom.
I think we should just put a tiny bit of liquid if we're going to put liquid.
Yes, I agree.
So usually the flaxseed will make it really thick, but lately I haven't noticed that. With the oranges, somehow it doesn't like glop up like that.
Mm-hmm.
Please stop.
Getting a little too happy with it. Okay.
So I like to do it thicker than thinner. There's some people that like to drink it like water, and then there's other people who like to eat it like applesauce. I like to eat it like applesauce because it's a less quantity and it's easier for me to eat.
Most people can easily get bananas, but if you've got a surplus of applesauce, you can use applesauce as like a base for this.
Oh yeah, we usually do put apples in.
Yeah, and this time of year it's kind of out of the season for apples, and so we don't always have apples at this time of the year. But Stephanie had canned up a bunch of strawberries years ago, and so when I was out of bananas and I was out of oranges, I used that as the base.
And strawberries.
Yeah, so you don't have to have this exact formula. It just the principle is that you have enough fruit and dates to kind of offset like the bitter of your dandelion greens or the strong taste of your greens. Sometimes kale can be really strong. You may not have stinging nettles where you're at, but most people can buy kale. Although I've eaten kale from Walmart when I was doing missionary work, and I was like, ugh, like this doesn't seem like it's real. Like this isn't kale. Like this is something different, you know. So for those of our viewers that would like stinging nettle and you like to raise it in your yard, I will give you stinging nettle for free. If you come here, I will dig you a little plug and you can plant it in your yard. And it does not have to be in full sun. So some of you that live in the city may have a backyard that doesn't have full sun. You may have a yard where you can't really grow tomatoes because you need full sun, but you can still grow stinging nettles.
And so you did a plug down there by the road and maybe watered it once, and it's thriving. So it doesn't take a lot of care either.
Yeah, very.
And they can grow like 6 feet tall and spread.
Yes.
And I really like the flavor of them compared to any other green. That's my favorite. So it's like the most nutritious, and I think it's the best tasting. Yeah,
really high in vitamin K, and that's what you need for your body, for your blood, to build good blood. We mentioned earlier about menstrual problems. You know, and it's hot. It has iron in it too. Has folate. We would like to have a baby together one day, and Stephanie was like looking at what's high in folate, and we're like, oh, well, that's great. Like stinging nettle is really high in folate. So you know, if you're a woman and you're having menstrual problems and you have a lot of blood loss from that or whatever, and you're getting low on your iron, if you make a commitment to eat a lot of stinging nettles every day, that has vitamin K, that will build healthy blood, and it'll restore what's been draining out of you. So I think we have everything in here. And another thing you can do is, if it's really, really strong and you know, you don't like the taste, I mean, you could add a little maple syrup into it, or add a little bit of honey into it, you know. But a lot of times there's just enough flavor with the fruit here that and the dates that, you know, you don't really feel a need to add extra sweetener in there.
So normally Titus likes to blend this first and then add the greens.
Yes. So sometimes, like if you have the greens on top, then you have your plunger, and then they get stuck there, and so.
And sometimes it's hard to process it.
Yeah, I think that, and you probably will want to use gloves if you're going to do this with stinging nettles.
Definitely.
But I'm sure there's men out there that have thick calluses that would be just fine to do this. But so. Because we don't have as much down here, I can fit all of this in. And we did have a battery, a blender and a battery where we could just, solar power battery. But we're really grateful that Aaron gave us a generator. And so we use that generator to blend this. And it's a bigger blender, so it takes a little more power.
And Donovan was letting us use his battery.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had like a knockoff Vitamix, which we got from Aldi. And so it used a little bit less power than the Vitamix. Mm-hmm. But since Donovan took the battery and we had to switch to a generator anyways, we just switched to the Vitamix mm-hmm. because it's more powerful anyways.
Eventually we would like to set up a little bit more solar and be able to just blend it from the solar, but for now it works well.
And that knockoff Vitamix I took with me out of town so that I can use it. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to have both.
Yeah.
And that blender was from Aldi, and it cost about $75.
Oh, wow.
About 5 years ago.
The knockoff one did?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
But it has like the same.
Be careful with knockoff stuff, because I got a DeWalt skill saw for like $50. It was brand new, and I was like, you know, this looks good, you know. And it would just like work for a little bit and then quit, and work for a little bit and quit. And there's like the Stihl chainsaw, and it's excellent chainsaw. But there are knockoff Stihls that they look like a Stihl, but it's a knockoff. It was made somewhere, and sometimes you can just lose your money or waste your money on knockoff stuff.
Well, what was nice about it is I bought it from Aldi, and I knew they have a 7-day return policy. So if it didn't work out for me, mm-hmm. I could return it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Aldi's a great place. All right, well, we are going to blend this, and then we'll taste it and eat it. We'll be back. So you don't want an explosion, so it is a good idea if you put it down on variable and put it down to the lowest setting before you start it up. And then I'm going to turn this generator on. Okay, so I made a mistake while I was blending it. I accidentally pushed it like that a little bit. I pushed it over this way accidentally, and there's like a gear. You can see at the bottom there that fits, like a gear, a cog that fits into there. And so it was grinding in there because I accidentally tipped it. So you want to be more careful than I was to just keep it firmly on the base and not tip it. Otherwise it can mess up the cog there. You also notice that I put on some ear protection. I love music, and so I try to keep loud noises away from my ears as much as possible. So this is be considered bad manners, so I think I'm going to step out of the frame to do it. But I like to lick this.
Nothing gets wasted.
Yeah. I'll be right back. People don't want to see my tongue, I don't think.
Well, I guess I'll show them this. Oh, let's see here. There is our smoothie. And if you blend it a little bit longer, you won't have those green flecks in there. It can become completely assimilated.
Yeah, it probably would have been good if I would have blended it a little bit longer.
So you notice it's really thick.
Yeah, I probably needed all that water.
Probably, but this is the way I like it. And Titus doesn't mind the thickness of it, one way or the other.
Another thing...
It's just easier on the blender.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So another thing that's important is that rather than using a metal spoon to go in there and clean that out, you want to keep those blades sharp. And so if you use a metal spoon to clean it out, you're going to dull your knives, and you want to keep them sharp. So a good tough spatula is what you want to clean that out.
Like a rubber spatula or
yes.
silicone or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. All right, well.
Do you want to say the blessing?
Oh, thank you. That's one reason why I need a woman. Is she helps me not to forget things that I need to remember. All right. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the food that you have provided, and we ask that you will bless it and give us strength that we can continue doing what you call us to do. And we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus, Yeshua. Also, we ask that you will bless those that are watching, that rather than being discouraged about their poor health, that they can have hope that with your strength, there is healing and there's ability to change. We thank you, and we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus, Yeshua. Amen. I think, who needs a napkin if you just have a tongue to just lick what might be around there?
So, the dried bananas blended up pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It does have some texture to it, but if you blend it longer, you can get rid of that if that bothers you.
In some ways, this one, and it's interesting, they can vary a lot based upon what proportions of fruit, but with this one, I think part of it is maybe the dried bananas in it. It's almost like eating oatmeal that has dates in it. I mean, it's along the same kind of texture. I don't taste the greens at all in this one.
Same. It's also best when you're eating pureed food like this that you chew it to get your digestive juices going.
Yes.
So we like to eat it like with a plate and a spoon to try to encourage ourselves to chew it. Whereas if you drink it with a straw and you thin it out, you're not going to be really chewing at all.
And so the more water you add to it, the more stomach acid your body has to produce. And so it is better to have it thicker as opposed to more watery, just for your stomach acid to be able to deal with it. But you can make it thinner, and you could put a higher proportion of citrus in there than what we did, and that would make it thinner. Now, we've got blueberries out there we'll be picking them soon. We've made green smoothies with blueberries in it, and it'll just like just like become like jello almost. Like it makes it really thick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So some people think that like their diabetes or their heart disease is, well, it's in the family. You know, I got these bad genes. So your genetics is what loads the gun. Your choices with what you eat or don't eat. Your choice is whether you're going to be out in the sunshine and fresh air, or whether you're going to spend all your time laying, inside playing video games, TV. Your choices with your lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. So if I ate, my grandma went blind. She had really bad diabetes, and her eyes got bad, and she lost her eyesight. And she just ate a very high fat diet, and didn't get exercise. And she died being very overweight, very unhealthy, suffering from being blind. My grandma, Grace, so it's my dad's mom, she was like, she saw that what her mom had done had brought a lot of illness and disease upon herself, and she didn't want to have osteoporosis and diabetes and things like her mom did. And so my grandma Grace was very active. She worked in the garden during the summer every day, lots of flowers, lots of vegetables. And she would get mulberries, take bananas and mulberries and put them through a champion juicer, which my dear wife has recently made a video showing you how to make banana ice cream. She would do what Stephanie did in that video, except use frozen mulberries, so it would be really pink and really beautiful.
Mixed in with the bananas.
So my grandma, she did have osteoporosis at one point, and then she started eating lots of kale and lots of greens, and then like the osteoporosis stopped, and it didn't, like, and she was healthy. But then when she was like 90, in her 90s, like the osteoporosis came back, and she got really bent over as she was in her 90s.
So you talking about that makes me think of a guy named Joel Furman, and he wrote a book about fasting, water fasting. And in his book, I believe that he became paralyzed. It's been a long time since I read it, but I believe he became paralyzed, and then he went to this special hospital where they did water fasting, and they would draw his labs every day, and he was there for like 40 days of water fasting, something insane like that. And he was able to reverse the paralysis completely. And then there's also other stories in his book of people who were deaf, and they did this extreme water fasting at the hospital under medical supervision, and were able to reverse their hearing loss. So it's just amazing what our bodies are capable of if we do what it requires. And I don't know exactly what water fasting does to repair the body, but somehow it does.
A lot of people have a lot of toxins in their body, and they may have stuff backed up in their bowels. And so when you fast and you're drinking lots of water and you're resting, you can get some of those toxins flushed out. Your stomach and your body does not have to work really, really hard. And your body can just be in a very resting state. And people who are fasting tend to be able to like sleep a lot more. And so, you've eaten a big meal and then you go to bed and you're like, and you don't have good sleep. Well, when you're fasting, you sleep really well, and so your body does most of its healing and repair work while you're asleep. So that's one reason why fasting. Another reason why fasting can be healing is if our stomach is clogged, our mind is foggy. When our mind is foggy, we can't really connect with our Creator. And so when you're fasting, your mind's going to be more clear, and then you can have a better connection with your Creator. Benjamin and Laura were here recently, and on the Henson Creek House of Prayer channel, we did an interview with them. And I wish I would have gotten this on video, but they have a friend who he had a I forget the name of the disease. I wish I would have interviewed him on this part, but he had one of those diseases. Starts with an M.
Multiple sclerosis.
Mugellan's or.
Oh, I don't know.
I forget exactly the term of it, but anyway, he went on like a 40-day just water fast, and he went down to being like a skeleton, but then he didn't do it under doctor's supervision either, from what I understood, but he did this fast, and then he was down to like a skeleton, but the disease that he was dealing with was gone. And so then he had taken like oatmeal, and he would cook the oatmeal, and then he would squeeze it, like I put it in a cloth and squeeze it, so just like the broth would come out, and he would make soup and with zucchini and
is that after his fast?
Yeah, after his fast. And so that's how he started to introduce food, was from the broth. Because if you have a fast and then you break the fast and you start eating a lot because you're going to be really hungry,
it's dangerous.
then it can cause you trouble.
Yeah, if it's a 40-day fast, that would be kind of dangerous. I know if you do like a shorter fast, they say to break your fast with fruit.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go get a spatula.
I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Okay, so in Dr. Furman's book, he talks about the 40-day fast, and so after about 2 or 3 days, your body stops being hungry. But what they base it on is how long your fast lasts. They base it on your body. So you stop being hungry, but then when your body says eat, so that may be 30 days, 40 days later, you eat, because you want to listen to your body when your body finally says it's time to eat.
So these are from some of my earliest memories, was having a spatula, being spanked with a spatula. I really needed it. Like when I would bite my sister or hit her, I would get a bare bottom spanking with a spatula. I needed it. So you can see the difference between these two, and this kind is a little bit harder to clean. And then sometimes water can go in there and it'll get moldy in here. So this kind is a lot better.
And the sheriff's here now, so I guess we're going to end this video.
Yeah! Yeah, we've had the sheriff out here quite a bit the last little while.
Thank you for watching.
Yep.